timer goes on, so let's keep the coughing to a minimum.
I figured out the button.
All right. If you want to, Brad, if you'd be nice enough to tweet everything out to YouTube and Facebook, please, and send the links out for everybody to join. We're in the countdown. Are you able to see that now, guys?
No, I can't see.
You can't see it? Okay, well, it's up, and we should be live. Yep, we are live. Yep, we've already got eyes on us.
I still haven't found it.
Yep, it's up.
Okay. Yeah. I can see it on my Facebook now.
It takes a second, probably about 15 seconds behind, maybe 8 seconds, whatever. Depends.
My stream is at 427, 426, 425.
I'm surprised you didn't hear Ray Charles in the background. I was watching Ray.
Yeah, one of our football games from a couple years ago got...
Refresh. We're on. Are you seeing it on Facebook? Brad, check Facebook. Okay, cool. I just want to make sure we're in both spots. Okay, cool.
I think I need a second computer, Scott. A new one. It's okay. I'm going to have to buy it for my kids' school.
I was going to have to buy me a new computer. Ray, we're going, I won't be working this year. I just had another cancellation right before we came on the air. It's like, it just doesn't stop.
Well, okay, so number one, we don't see the countdown. We don't hear the music, Scott.
You're not hearing the music. Okay, let me turn this up. Can you hear the music? Give it a second. Hearing music now?
Unfortunately, no.
No. Okay, well, I'm seeing you. You guys should be. Let's see if I turn it.
I hear you. I have no problems hearing you.
Yeah, I'm hearing it. I'm hearing the music. I heard you where you said give it a second.
I don't hear the music, but I'm good. I'm over
Brad,
here on the computer. I'm waiting for the no goal. No,
Brad, make sure you unmute the video. Or yeah, because Facebook auto mutes the videos when you first play them.
Well, I'm just on Skype with you guys.
Oh yeah, I don't hear the music through Skype, but I'm hearing it on Facebook.
Oh, I should. No, so when we did. Oh, is that causing? Give me a buzzer or a thumbs up when we're going, Scott, which is in about a minute. Yeah.
Ears.
And yes, I'm wearing sunglasses today. It was a suggestion.
We are happy to have you guys here as we continue this every week. We do this at noon. And today we have a very special guest. We have Mr. Mason Strom, who's going to join us along with my cohort, Brad Baumrock. We are back to hockey season, guys. We're excited about it. We got a lot of stuff to talk about because today we are going to fill you in again on the updates on seminars. We are going to talk about test taking because we all have to get ready for that very shortly. And Mason is going to help us with that as well. But he's also going to fill us in as a college referee. He is now on a meeting live as we're doing this because he's going to have some updates for us with regard to college sports and possibly high school sports. So these are all things we're going to cover today. So once again, welcome. And Brad, what's going on, my friend? How are you?
We're debating the coach part, referee.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't hear you, Brad.
You can't hear me?
Yeah, you're good. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say. So Mason is a great guy. I just want to point out though that all those lanyards behind him, which are scarves, are not his. Just want to rat him out there a little bit. I know he's my buddy, but Mason, whose are those?
Half of these. Half of these are mine. So this was an idea that was stolen from your former roommate, Mr. Welker, and my now wife, who also used to live there, Cece, really liked that idea. So these are our travel scarves. And she liked the idea of getting football scarves to every country we visited. And it started out as an internationally licensed official. It started out with her mostly getting scarves from places that she visited and worked tournaments at. And now it's just become places that we visit.
Oh, that's I just want to bring your wife into it.
It's a good looking background. I like it. Looks good for
because it looks good.
Yeah, it does.
So anyway, Mason. We're coming up on seminars, and seminars are going to be all virtual this year, except for level ones in here in Illinois, and every place else is doing different things. And my wife is apparently going to open the door and slam it and kick it and have a good time. But anyway, so it's live, so we got our things going on. But I could bring her over here, but she ran up the stairs. But since we're doing everything online. Mason, are there some tips for online? We know you're a teacher, thank God, and you came to me in I think June, and you wanted to help out with our seminars. Do you have any tips for anybody that's going to get on seminars and be virtual this year? Because our entire world has changed. I mean,
absolutely,
it's changed for us. I mean, me and Scott are doing this. Who would have thought that?
Well, I'm sure that most of the people that are on here right now have experienced a change in either the way they work or the way that they attend school in some way, shape, or form since the middle of March. And I can tell you, first of all, the environment is really important. In order for something to be like positive towards e-learning, you don't want to have like the TV on in the background. I know I was guilty of a couple of faculty meetings from time to time where I had some of the 2010, 2013, or 2015 Stanley Cup run replay games on the background, and then there'd be some information I would just kind of like gloss over. I'd be like, wait, what just happened the last 3 minutes? Because I was just watching, Brian Bickle be a complete beast in front of the net. So your environment's really important. Try to get into a spot that maybe doesn't look into your kitchen. So you can't see, you can't hear your wife going up and down the stairs and opening and creaking doors. But finding a place where you can focus and pay attention is really important. And if you don't have that in your house, headphones can be a huge help as well. But get somewhere, first of all, like that you can focus and that you're not going to be full of distractions, because I'm telling you, 3 hours online or 6 hours online in the case of the level ones, it may feel somewhat grueling. So make sure that you start just with your environment. The second thing is, it just depends on what kind of learner you are. Most of us that are on this show right now, we grew up in a completely different educational environment. technology.
We didn't even have a calculator, okay?
Scott had one of those.
I had to walk miles to school, okay? I had to read by a fireplace.
With no shoes, we got it.
Yeah.
But technology in the classroom when Brad, when we were going to school, might have been like cable in the classroom where they were like bring in the cart, or they got the tube TV mounted on the wall. You couldn't just pull out your phone and look up some detailed piece of information. So
did you ever survive that game? What the hell was that game on Apple?
Number Munchers?
Number Munchers. Oregon Trail. Did you ever make it? I never did. Never made it through.
Personally, I did never make it. There was a kid. Oh man, what was his name? He was a couple years older than me. His name was Keith Winstein, I think. And this kid was like, I don't even know where he's at today. He's probably doing something with computers. He reprogrammed the computers to say "Good morning, Keith," and the librarians were all going nuts. But he was the only one I knew that could beat the game. So I sat down and watched him beat it, and watched, because I always used to just go hunting all the time, and you run out of, you kill too much food that you can't bring with you, and then you're almost to Oregon, and you run out, you're almost to the coast, and you run out of food and supplies. You can't go hunting, and then everybody dies of dysentery.
Yeah, or you get typhoid fever crossing the river. What is that? I know what happens, but come on. Sorry, such a depressing time when we were children.
Right.
And you're right. Yeah, well, he's totally right, though. Everything has changed. Me and Mason, when we were in school, we did at least have some processing equipment, Scott. I'll put it out there for yourself. We had calculators, and I had a TI-83. I think Mason knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
And you could program anything you wanted into that.
Hey, man, I had the Commodore 64, okay, when I was in radio back in 1982. Probably.
Ooh,
I think
fancy.
I got that. Yeah.
Hang on, 1982. I'd like to point out that both me and Mason were not born at that point. That includes me.
Sub-4 at that point.
Well, we have our first comment of the day, and it comes from TJ Soto, who says, Brad, it's not bright in your house. Take off your glasses.
No,
all right, I just thought I'd throw that out there for you, Brad.
TJ, as an example of what not to do when taking an online digital test.
Also, TJ would need to wear a hat because he doesn't have any flow up here anymore. So he's got to shave it down. No offense to all my bald friends, except for TJ.
Hey, bald is beautiful.
Easy for you to say with a full head of hair. I'm catching up to the bald spot there. But anyway, guys, we do this every week. We do this at noon. We want to welcome you. If you haven't had a chance, please subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get a custom URL. We need 100 subscriptions to do that, so we would greatly appreciate it if you would push that subscribe button on YouTube and also hit the notification button. Now, a couple things. We are taking questions today. We're going to do Q&A, so if you do have a question, please type a Q in front of your comment before you put it in there so we know to look for the questions. We can get through these pretty easily. If you're just joining us, can you give us a hello or something? Check in with us. Post the comments because we've got them coming in from different locations, and I do want to share all this information with you throughout the day, and I want you to be a part of the conversation. We're very happy to have Mason here with us today. Mason, for those of you who don't know Mason has been one of our top referees here for a number of years. I know him from the Men's League at Johnny's, of course, and played against him, but, that's not what he does. He's actually a college referee now and works a lot of high-level hockey, and he coaches a couple of teams. You have two teams, Mason, I believe. I know you got the girls at Fenwick, which he's a state champion and certainly was in the run before we got hit with COVID last year and they had to shut down and couldn't finish it out. They were in the Final Four. So he's had a really good program there. Lots of really talented AAA players on that team. And, I'm sure... Are they all coming back this year, Mason? What's happening? Like the AAA players, are they ready to play high school hockey as well, or what's happening as far as that goes?
So, the season abruptly ended. There were a few, double roster players that we have, whether it was tier 1 or tier 2. They had mostly gone through their state playoffs, so they knew. I had a couple players that were moving on to districts for hopefully, for a bit at nationals. But the majority of my team, a lot of their seasons were over with their travel club. So, when the season stopped, everything just kind of abruptly ended. We had a game left, that hoping to make it 2 games left to play at the big arena again. But everyone's kind of getting really amped to come back and play hockey again. We've been skating a little bit here and there. When we moved into phase 3, we were doing in the USA Hockey approved, groups of 10. We were doing little shuttle practices, on studio ice, and just to get people back on the ice. And I at first, it was June, and I was thinking, I don't really think we're going to get a lot of players to sign up. Well, we had 30 players sign up.
Wow, that's great.
That wanted to do this. So we had to do it over I think we bought 2 hours of ice, and we were doing 40-minute chunks to try to fit everybody in and, stay. It was weird keeping everybody apart. So it was a lot of, they were happy doing basic skill work, where you put your gloves down and you're doing figure eights around your gloves and just to introduce yourself to your edges again. So, but yeah, I mean, everybody's getting really excited, but there is still a lot of uncertainty with what's going to happen for the season. Is it going to start on time? Is it going to be a delayed start? What's going to happen? So, still waiting on the guidance. I think at least at the high school level, IHSA, there's some guidance that A-High pays attention to. Although if you saw, there was an announcement that Jack Weinberg made yesterday that they're not going to tie high school hockey to IHSA prescribed dates.
Oh, well, that's probably good for hockey then, right?
It's really good news for hockey.
Yeah.
Which Mason, from what I know, ISHA is having their meeting tonight. I believe it's Wednesday.
They pushed it back a week, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
That ends in Y. There's some governing sports body that's having a meeting.
Yeah. Okay. There's a governing sports body, which, by the way, Scott, we'd like to remind everybody, this is not USA Hockey, A-High, or IHOA affiliated in any way, shape, or form. We're just doing this ourselves.
Are you a lawyer now, giving that disclaimer out like that? You've gotten really good at that, Brad.
Well, I'm wearing the sunglasses today in order to, keep it real.
He must see that our referee-in-chief is now watching, so that's probably why. Eric Cowsill is referee-in-chief now, right? He was president last year. Now he's referee-in-chief, so he's watching. Yep. So hello to Eric. Glad to have you. Thanks for joining us. He watches us very carefully. If he's not watching us on this, he's got us on Live Barn. So he's got 24/7 eyes on us, just making sure that we're behaving ourselves. So hey, Eric.
I think we've been doing okay.
So Mason, you were also talking about the college situation, because I understand that you're on a meeting right now. We were talking about this a little bit before the show started. Can you bring us up to speed in terms of what the colleges are looking to do this year and where we stand and how it might play out?
So I'm getting text updates here. So right now, my status as a college official, I took a bit of a pause last year just because my wife and I welcomed our second child.
Congrats.
In October,
Nice.
Miss Willow, and it was just a little chaotic to try to do all of that. So it's a brief pause at the moment, but I get to stay involved in wonderful ways like seminar instruction and spending a Wednesday lunch hour with you guys.
Appreciate it.
And hoping to be back as soon as I can. And I was thinking about that the other day. The only social distance dinners and barbecues I've had since this whole thing started has all been with referee friends. Just last Saturday night, I had a wonderful dinner, in my house with some fellow IHOA referee friends.
You could drop names. We know you're a player. You could drop the names.
He was Mr. Gazzardi. Made a wonderful cheesecake with a raspberry drip that was
talents
delicious.
We don't even know about. See,
and he brought a pasta salad too. It was delicious.
Did he bring any liquid beverages by any chance?
We kept it clean, except then Mr. Shintani showed up with a bottle of wine. And so we had a bottle of wine with our cedar plank salmon.
My man,
Keep
Robbie.
it classy.
All right, awesome. So continue.
But in terms of so state by state, in terms of the youth situation, I think is going to be a lot easier to navigate. It's going to be dependent on what's happening locally. The college situation is much more of a mess because you are having interstate games, you're having cross-country games, depending on who's on your schedule. If you look at Roosevelt University, formerly Robert Morris University, The women's division is made up of us from Illinois, and then a bunch of teams from Michigan, and then Miami of Ohio. So still relatively tightly knit, but if your college puts, say, a travel restriction where you can't travel overnight or out of state, it's causing a lot of havoc with the schedule makers. So they're still trying to scramble and figure out, what are we going to do? What's our conference going to look like? The men's side, they play U of I, they play ISU, they play Ohio. Ohio University, what is that, like a 7-hour bus ride? So
OU is 8.5 hours.
8.5. Oh, geez. So
it's right at the border there.
Yeah. So if you're, even if you talk about playing a home and home series, what are you going to do? Drive 8.5 hours, get there 2 hours ahead of game time, play a 2-hour game, maybe get on the road an hour after game time. You're already 13.5 hours into your day. Are you going to get on the bus and drive 8.5 hours home? So there's a lot of potential issues going around. Other people are floating the ideas of having like showcase weekends and centralized locations, especially at schools like Adrian, who own and operate their own rink. But then that's kind of going against this isolation idea, where now you're bringing 6 or 7 teams from one state or from several states all together for 3 days.
And I love Adrian. It's a great facility. I was there. It was the first year it was built. It's a absolutely fantastic facility. But if you're going to host it at Adrian, okay, I love Adrian, but it's not exactly on the roadmap to places where referees live. So you got to bring in all the referees to referee whatever showcase you're doing too. And what does that add cost-wise? You know what it is, because everybody has hotel room costs.
Adrian themselves only has they only have 3 hotels in the whole town, so you're probably going to be
putting people. It's not a big town. It's a beautiful town, I won't lie, but it's not a big town.
But you're going to be you may be 45 minutes away down the highway just to accommodate this. And I just threw Adrian out as an example because they have their own arena. So it's definitely like a doable situation. But, every possible solution then lies its own new problems. So the college situation is a lot more complicated. And there's different schools. So if you look at the NCAA, for instance, whatever the NCAA rules is what's going to happen. But if you look at like California or the Ivy Leagues, the school also has the final say on what they're going to do. So, if you look at a conference like the ECAC, that's mostly Ivy League schools, but then there's like 5 other schools that are not Ivies, like Quinnipiac, RPI, Clarkson, St. Lawrence, Union might be the other one. So if the Ivies cancel, they've canceled all their fall sports, now you're leaving those other schools kind of in a bind. What are they going to do, play each other, or do they just push their season back as well? So, the college situation is much more complicated. And, I have my meeting on right now, and there's not a whole lot in the questions, but, expect schools, if they make a decision, it's probably going to be blanketed for every sport. So especially with bigger schools, if football's pushing back, everybody's pushing back. They're not going to operate one sport on an island while everybody else is in limbo.
Well, here's my question, and that would be for high schools. I know long time ago when I went to high school, we were a club sport. We were not considered a varsity sport. If we wanted to get our letter, we had to go join the speed skating team, go to the city championship.
Did you guys have roofs on your ice rinks when you played?
Actually, to be honest with you, playing AAA growing up in the early 70s, no. Winnetka, Wilmette had an open rink. Deerfield had an open rink. Evanston was open rink. So no, we did not have. We had Lake Forest College as our home ice, and that gorgeous building is just the way it was back when I played there. Other than that, they've put new glass in and new stands.
And they changed the corners to the NCAA corners, so the rink is more square.
Yes, you're absolutely right about that.
They had to dig up all the cement and put in new refrigeration, because when they went to the marsh pegs a few years ago, Lake Forest actually had to get a 1-year waiver to not use the marsh pegs, because they couldn't drill a hole where the peg had to go, because there was a refrigeration line running right underneath.
All right. Because of most referees don't deal with that. Can you explain the pegs?
So
please?
Those lovely metal pegs that might coaches are constantly trying to convince you to use. Our kids are fine with it. So
yeah.
the pegs that, or for high school, if you have a goalie that, doesn't use their skate to push off to go post to post, and they use the post and they kick the net off 7 times a game, and the other coach is going, "That's a delay," and they're all losing their minds. Marsh pegs are, what the NCAA and the NHL use, and juniors in Tier 1 for sure. Where they actually drill a hole into the ice, and they're these nice marshy, soft pegs that are made out of some type of, rubber or synthetic material. And it's actually much safer. So when you glide into the net, it's not like the old, 70s and 80s NHL where it's like cement, the net is cemented into the ice and it's going to break your back. So the net will come off, but it's much more difficult to throw the net off. Yeah. So it allows play to continue, and you don't have 17 whistles and people losing their minds.
I personally believe they need to bring back when Scott played. The backdrop, I forget. I don't know what the heck that was called.
It was a brick wall at Rainbow Arena, and it was chicken wire or
shoot up.
Yeah. It was true link fence at like Niles and places like that. So yes,
we never need to be checked into chain link fence. I had that happen once. I couldn't get my jersey out of it in an older facility here.
Yes,
and I'm luckily a couple years older than Mason. Sorry, Mason, but. He never had to experience that, but chain link fence is no fun.
Yeah.
So
that's old
school. The chain link was out by the time I started contact hockey, but I remember as a mite and a squirt, I'd be going to get my hockey bag, and my dad would be messing with it, and he would I had the old Sherwoods with the lace in the cuffs, and he would be taking. My dad's kind of like Mr. Safety Protocol. And he'd be taking the laces out of my gloves. I'm like, "What are you doing to my gloves?" And he would put garbage twist ties in there. And he's like, "We're going to Barrington today. The chain link there has been known to snag a few pieces of equipment. So we're just trying to yeah, we're just trying to figure this out."
All right. So this is a nostalgia thing. Did you skate in Barrington when they had the shag carpet on the iron girders?
Oh yeah,
that went across. Okay.
Oh yeah. Those things were mold factories.
And I skated in Barrington. I lived in Hawthorne Woods for a number of years, and Jimmy Pappin I got to be very friendly with. And Jimmy brought me out to a private skate there that went on twice a week, and it was like some of the former Blackhawks and some good players, guys that had played college. It was a nice skate. It was like a hosted rat hockey. You didn't pay for it. It was just, you had a couple cops and some different things playing there. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, that rink was old. And then when they shut that thing down, and now they reopened, have they made any changes? I have not been back there since like probably the early 90s, late 80s.
I have been there. They were nice enough. The Barrington Hockey Club wasn't Barrington. One of the schools up there in the Metro Central. Mason, that's right? No, you're a high school guy.
Metro North Central, I think it is now.
I think it's North Central. They've unfortunately renamed a couple times. They were nice enough to donate ice to us to our development program. I was up there. They made a lot of modernizations, but it's still almost the same rink.
Yeah, I mean, they took that pig and nice put a lot of lipstick on it.
Yeah. We've got some classic buildings. I mean, look at Park Ridge. I mean, we used to try out there for Minor Hawks back in the 70s. That's the only time we'd been in that building. We played there once a year. It was tryouts. And that building is still one of my favorite buildings. The ice is great. It's never cold in there. You can go in there and work in the dead of winter, and it's comfortable.
You don't like being a fan in a cold ice arena.
Yeah, I mean,
Oakton is the ice arena to watch a game.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, you guys have refereed there, right? And you played there as a Minor Hawk, right, for tryouts or whatever. You ever notice that the visiting team's goal doesn't have a light over it?
I wonder if that's by design. Do you think that's something that maybe, they want to be one up on? I mean, that'd be a question for an express coach, huh?
That rink was built by a junior team, I heard, back in the 70s or 80s. There's an old school referee who has a great mustache, and he's a nice guy. And he said that they built it on purpose.
Would that be my friend that has a nickname?
Possibly Pops.
Possibly, yeah, possibly Pops.
Possibly Pops.
I could tell you stories about Joe. Joe and I mean, even though he's a couple years older than I am, I had to throw that out there that I'm not the oldest guy in Iowa. But,
sure.
Well, anyway, Joe was always a great skater. And when we were growing up, Minor Hawks, we were Peewees. So that would be 10 and 11. And we played in what would be the house league. Our games on Sunday, we played in the house league for the Bantams at Rainbow Arena. And so we played up. Yeah, well, how about the corner? The corners were like an exit to the alley. So not only did they not have any glass or anything, you got checked over the boards in a men's league there. You went over the boards, you went down 4 or 5 steps and out the exit doors into the alley, okay? And I don't think they ever cleaned that area. That seemed like it was just a garbage dump. Like, if there's garbage, just throw it in the corner over there. And so you were not only being exited out the building, you were going in the garbage and out into the alley. And hopefully somebody came and picked you up or helped you up at that point. But, you know, that was Rainbow. That's where I learned to skate. Sure. I grew up in that place. But we played in the league there, and Prescott played on a team. And here's the story. He ran a sport shop at a little department store, Northwest, kind of near Sen High School. It's called Winsburg's. And I went in there and I got my skates sharpened. Well, we were playing Joe that weekend, and Joe butchered my skates so bad. I was goalie that I could barely stand on them, you know, trying to get an advantage out of it. My coach had to fix the skates afterwards. We did win, of course. We won that whole league.
Right.
And because we were not as Minor Hawks back then. So this is interesting because AAA was different back in the day. It wasn't called AAA. It was like an all-star team. So we had guys from different communities, just like a AAA player today. You could come from any community and you could play on this team. Well, we were a very good team. And when we were playing for the state tournament, they allowed us in the state tournament the first year. And we ended up, they turned around and said, well, only the guys that reside in a city or a town that doesn't have a hockey program, meaning like our North Shore kids were not going to be able to play in the state tournament. The Chicago kids, because there was no team out of Chicago, only the Chicago guys could play in the state tournament, which left 7 of us. They weren't our first line players, but there were 7 of us that played. And we ended up, Wilmette had beat us earlier in the year, straight up with our full team, and we ended up with Wilmette for the state tournament to play them. And we ended up beating them with the 7 players, all the Chicago guys. Mr. Roach, who ran the Minor Hawks, bought us milkshakes at the annual banquet for that. We got privileged White Castle milkshakes. And they threw us out of the state tournament after that because they thought it was a disgrace that 7 guys from Chicago could come out there and beat probably their best team. So we were never allowed back in the state tournament. So this goes back to the Rainbow thing. We ended up winning that well, it's not a tournament, but the league for the year, because we played there every Sunday. We played in that house league thing. Now, keep in mind, we're 11 and 12 playing Bantams, 13 and 14. And so they got us we could never get one of those state patches. They used to have a state tournament patch that they would give you. And that was the only thing you were allowed to put on your Minor Hawk jacket is if you won a state tournament. So they allowed us to put the Rainbow one on there because that was our state tournament. They had it made into the state of Illinois. It was a little bit bigger, but that was our hockey story growing up. So we had a little fun with that. And Mr. Prescott has been a part of that always, but he's always been a great skater. And you know, he became a referee. Peter Moffat, who was an NHL referee for a period of time, ran the hockey at Rainbow. And, you know, I think Joe probably learned some stuff from Peter. Peter was a great guy. And, you know, Joe was always a wonderful skater. And even to this day, he's a great skater and he's a great guy. And he's got lots of personality. And, you know, what more can you ask for from a referee? To have a lot of personality and to be a great skater. You know, that's the winning combination, guys. So if you can do that, I think you're going to be successful at this. All right, that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
You know, we tried. So now me and Mason are going to talk about things that are relevant
in
the world.
All right,
so
I'll be quiet.
The 1980s ended. We're in the 90s now. And we're going to actually move into the 20th century and have a good time. No, so, Mace, I don't know what's going on with your college thing, but why don't you talk about Roosevelt a little bit and what happened there with Robert Morris? I know we luckily we have a lot of Illinois people right now, so we can kind of be a little Illinois based. So why don't you tell everybody what's going on with that?
So we had an athletics meeting in, oh man, it was either end of October, beginning of November. And my kid was born October 15th. So this, I'm running like, a couple hours of sleep that period of time with a new, remembering how lovely it is to have a newborn again. And we had a meeting, and I had to like take a double take because it all came as a surprise to us that Roosevelt put in a bid to acquire Robert Morris. Now, just geographically for you guys, their main buildings are a block apart. There's the Harold Washington Library right at, State and Ida B. Wells.
You're talking about downtown Chicago, correct?
Yeah, right in downtown Chicago. Sure. Right in downtown Chicago. And on the northeast corner was the old Robert Morris building, and then you go one block further towards the lake to the east at Wabash and Ida B. Wells is Roosevelt's main building. So they were, geographically very close to each other, and they were kind of really competing with each other for the same type of college student that was looking for that urban experience. They had a lot of programs like, paralegal studies and criminal justice that overlapped. And then Roosevelt actually offers like a little bit more, or quite an expansive, options for areas of study. So they put it in a bid to acquire Robert Morris. Now the Higher Ed Council, which is like a national governing body, had to approve this. It's a huge process, with any type of like merger or acquisition. So we were kind of in limbo most of the year. We knew that Roosevelt didn't have a hockey team. They wanted to keep the hockey program. So we knew we were going to continue to function. There were like basketball and soccer were overlapping sports. So there was kind of the question of, what's going to happen with these teams, who's going to stay on the teams, coaches, all that. But the approval came in January, and everything was official by February. So our season was ending, and then all of a sudden we went to playoffs in Michigan and played our last game as Robert Morris, and then we're gonna, everything's staying pretty similar with the hockey program, same coaching staffs. Same head coaches for the three teams, the two men's teams and the women's team that I coach. And then we're starting up for this season, whatever this season's going to look like. We're starting up for this season as the Roosevelt Lakers.
The logo is down. I was in Bensonville.
Yeah, it's at center ice.
It's at center ice, and I skate so much I didn't realize till halfway through this part of the first game that they had changed the logo. So sorry, but I think the fans will notice. So, but Billy's going to be there, I'm sure.
Yep. Yeah, Billy will be there with the D1 team, and Potsy will be there with the D2 team for the men's side.
All right. So you're going to be still with the women's?
And I'll be there with the women's team for this coming season for sure.
I gotcha. Don't take any offense. Mason, as we go here, what's a bad thing to say as a referee to a coach that is irate at the time? I know that we discussed about getting into this, and I kind of left this out from our pre-talk just to talk to you, and hopefully it doesn't offend you. But
what's a bad thing to say? Well, I don't know.
Anything.
From the referee to the coach, or from the coach to the referee?
The referee to the coach.
Okay.
The coach to the referee, they have carte blanche.
Well,
they can say what they want.
This is in no way related to my past, but if you are if you're a 20-year-old high school varsity coach, and you have an older, probably 50s aged referee working your game, it's a bad idea for it's a bad idea for the referee to call you son, because the coach will probably lose it.
That's funny. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to make a little bit of conversation because we still got a couple more minutes. And Mason, I know you're very passionate about the game. I am. Scott is. We're passionate from the referee side, and then you have that extra edge because you're a coach, and I love you for it. I don't want to go to that side.
Well, I'm just passionate for the game of hockey. My hockey journey's been interesting. I went to art school, So there were no sports unless you wanted to, play ultimate frisbee, which it wasn't even like a competitive thing. They're like, we're just going to toss the frisbee in the park, guys. So I made it about, let's see, September's when hockey season usually starts, August. I made it to winter break. And then I was actually hanging out with one of my old high school coaches and some of his friends that were coaching. And I just said that I miss hockey so much. I was playing at a rental slot at McFetridge on like Thursday nights, and I had just started doing that, and I was like, I just miss hockey so much. How can I be involved? And I got invited to come out and coach and help out with a Bantam team. And then the next year, I was given that Bantam team because the head coach moved to a different role at another club, and then that was at 19. So. I really liked coaching. It was a challenge. It was especially a challenge because I was coaching high schoolers at 19. And it was really tough to I had to be like the crazy, mean coach to kind of separate myself. And I'm not your friend, even though I'm, 3 years older than you or 2 years older than you. But I wasn't referees would come up to me and say, hey, you have to have a helmet on if you're gonna stay on the bench during games. Or they'd come up to me and be like, what's your injury? And I'd be like, no, I'm the coach of the team. So I remember there were 2 games in particular where I just felt it wasn't what the referee was doing or not doing. I actually never even paid attention to what the refs were doing. For the most part. Unless Palucci was out there. Palucci would be on the games, and I'd be like, "Oh, this guy again! I love this guy."
Was Joey there with him too?
Every now and again. We were still doing 3-man at this point, so Joey was there either on the ice or in the stands with popcorn with a sign that said, "Jim's our guy." Wait for the JV game to start.
They're gonna love that shout out.
But I decided, I said I've played as a player and I'm coaching. I just love the game so much. I want to have more of a well-rounded view and also just kind of figure out what is told at the seminars, because at the coaching seminars, guys, if any of you ever aren't familiar and you look into what the requirements are to become a coach, compared to a referee, it's not a whole lot. And I actually felt really jaded about it for a while, as I'm doing my online modules, attending my seminar, doing the open book, studying for the closed book, and then the coaches show up for a couple of hours, and it doesn't seem, it's well, are they already considered to know the game? And I think that's where a lot of us on the officiating side run into some of these differences of opinions or just not being on the same page, because it's such a wide array from the novice volunteer to someone who's been playing their whole life and maybe played at a really high level. So it's it's a huge array, just as we have in the officiating community, right? But yeah, I became a referee, and I was like, if I'm going to go to the seminar, I might as well try a couple games, and then just became addicted and just loved it. Scott, I think you may have had a similar, experience where you're playing your whole life and you're like, I'll give this refereeing a try, and then it just becomes so fascinating.
For me, I was brutal on the men's league referees, because I was like, if you don't want to take the game, if you don't want to be here, don't take the game. I mean, they didn't want to call icing, somebody touched the stick and they call it slashing. Are you serious? Just stuff like that. But you knew who the good refs were. And it was funny when I went to the seminars, I don't know any of the refs because they don't have their helmets and their jerseys on. The minute I saw them on the ice, I'm like, oh yeah, that guy's a good ref.
That's you.
Oh, I remember this guy.
Oh, you're the 11:40 PM guy that is already asleep.
Yeah. Well, Steve Glickman kind of, he was he was proud of me because I put my money where my mouth was, and I actually went and took the classes and did everything. Believe it or not, probably back in, 90s or something, I had sent in the application to become a referee. And I got that test in the mail and the book. I was like, are you friggin' kidding me? I paid for it. I was like, oh, that's way too much work, But one of my friends that I played with down at Johnny's, he is a referee, and you would know him, but he's very private, so I'm not going to say his name. But he's the one that convinced me to go ref. He got me the information, and I got in mid-season, probably about 9 years ago. Probably the year that the refs were on strike from the NHL, when the NHL was on strike, because Andy McEllum was a big part of the seminar.
It was fall of 2012.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks. So that's when I started. So I got my crest in like December of 2012, I guess. And, I've loved it. I mean, this has been great. I've been to a couple of the district seminars. I've, been very fortunate to get some nice games and meet some great people. So I've truly enjoyed it. And it's kept me in the game. I'm a little older, but, like you, I was playing in the leagues over at Johnny's. That's how I knew Mason, and Mason started reffing over there. And, I watched him progress and improve and get better, and he's always been a good skater. So he was solid. I mean, he did a good job out there, and he let the guys play. There, he wasn't going to call the little ticky-tackies. So, you could see he was developing into a better referee, and I think his passion went in that direction. I don't know if you're still playing or not, Mason, but, for me, I was getting a little old for the B League over there. The B League was pretty good, and we had some, all college players and stuff. It's tough to keep up with those guys, man. You don't want to be in the wrong place at the wrong time out there. So, the reffing just kind of from 5 teams to being a referee, and, skating so much, I'm on the ice more than I can handle now, and I love it. I'm so happy we're back. You have no idea.
Johnny's is a tough.
It's a tough audience.
It's a tough audience. Well, it's a tough crowd, but 14-minute periods in a 70-minute ice slot. Yeah. Ooh, it's tough. It's tough sometimes. But I will say, from a reffing standpoint, I don't know how I used to do 6 games a day there sometimes on weekends, because now, like, just mentally, I just feel like I can't. I can't give the game my all past 2 games, in a day. Maybe that's a factor of getting older, but
I think you're getting old.
That could be.
Hey, I wish I had great stories like you guys about, I went out and I started refereeing and I loved it and all that.
You were born as a referee.
I did it. No. I did it as a $20 bet. And I won that $20, and then I fell in love with it.
Did you buy those glasses with that $20? That's what the audience is asking right now.
No. You donated to me these, Scott.
Okay.
You drove them over here yesterday, didn't you?
We got it. We have a lot of comments on your glasses there, so I just thought I'd throw it out there,
Hey, I'm trying to, it's sunny in here.
We're tough on our guests, but we're tough on our co-hosts too. So
I'm fine with that. I'm wearing a different hat today, though, so let's calm down.
So, but Brad, getting back, I know like we had talked about this on the phone, and we said we might get to it, but so the cat's out of the bag. We might as well talk about it a little bit. So, for me, and I'm gonna get personal a little bit. So, for me, when I started dating my now wife, there's a lot of things that she's I think she's a dynamite official.
Was that a safe sport violation, by the way?
No.
I don't know. Nope. I don't know if I'd ever admit to her the better official is. But she's a dynamite official. But, one of the things that we would talk about sometimes, and she was reffing Division I NCAA at the time, and when we first started dating, and she'd come home from games, and she was working out on the East Coast, and I'd say, well, how'd the game go? And she'd kind of talk to me about situations that would come up. And one of the things that seemed to be difficult was coaching communication. So I would kind of put my coach's hat on and really try to think about, I think that's one of the things that helped me as an official, because I always try to approach a lot of conversations from the viewpoint of the coach, right? We talk about
sympathetic ear. That's exactly. I think what you're looking for.
Well, we talk about, and Zed said it last week, and we've said it a few times today. We talk about like skating is really important. Skating is really important. And I think for every referee, the one thing you can control is your rule knowledge of the league that you're working, right? But knowing all the rules, like that's the unspoken prerequisite. And then you get to all the different things that differentiate officials, right? Skating ability, hockey IQ, and so you can stay out of the way and understand the flow and help get yourself into the right position, and then your interpretation of the rules as well, because obviously we see it in the real world. People read laws all the time and interpret it different ways.
Are you talking about the gray area?
Yeah, exactly. Talking about the gray area. So exactly how you're going to interpret it. If you go to Southwest Ice Arena versus Leaf Center, I think interpretations are going to be a little bit different on some of the way hockey is played, just because it's a different area. It's just certain things are emphasized differently there. So I always try to approach that, from a coach's perspective when I'm talking with them, because there is a very
Oh, guys, I don't mean to interrupt you. Give me 1 second. Dave Ballantyne had just chimed in. He said, I think Pritzker just shut down hockey. Not good. I don't know what that means. Eric Cowsill says, I think you're right. Just saw on NBC.
So Mason's got his phone right now. And
yeah.
I just got this from my teaching associates. Governor Pritzker announces new restrictions for recreational sports, including at schools. Fall sports in schools will be forced to face added restrictions under new guidance from Illinois Health Department. Pritzker said the state will be, quote, restricting youth and adult recreational organized sports, including school-based sports, beginning August 15th. The restrictions do not include professional or collegiate sports.
All right.
Oh, come on.
So since we're live right now, Scott, what's your opinion of what the heck is going on?
Well, let me just say this. I'm in the entertainment business.
Hockey is in the high risk category. Sorry to interrupt.
No,
of course it is.
I don't know.
High risk of
this is bad because
something.
I'm in the entertainment business. I haven't worked since last year, since December. I'm still getting cancellations, even though we are open for business. I just had one before we came on the air. Because they can only have 50 people. I don't sell you a party based on how many people you're having. It's the same amount of work for me if you have 2 people there as if you have 200 people. We need to be able to eat. We need to be able to keep our home. I have a feeling I could very easily lose my house based on this because I can't make enough money off hockey, which we do very nicely. It's a great thing. That's my hobby job. But when you take away my source of income, and I spent a lot of money on advertising, I spent a lot of money on getting that business, and it's all going away. And it's going away because of the government, and they're not doing that. They're not giving me PPP. I get $1,000. I didn't even get a first stimulus check. So, guys, we're off the hockey subject for a moment because this is real life. This is real life, and it affects a lot of the people that are referees because, they don't really view us as a business. From a hockey standpoint, we have some refs that are getting unemployment. Some are not getting unemployment. I don't know how we are expected to survive based on this. Now, most people are not in the same boat. We are in the same boat as people that own bars and not necessarily restaurants because they are open, but the nightclub business, the entertainment world, we are taking it really tough right now, guys. And even if they open it, if Pritzker had said we're opening tomorrow, we probably don't go back to work till next May because there's not much business January, February, March. That's the booking season. And it takes 6 to 9 months to even book a lot of these events. My festivals have all been canceled for this year. My charity events are all canceled for this year. They're only allowing 50 people at a wedding right now. Some places are saying, well, that's 50 with the staff and the vendors. Some are it's 50 plus the staff and the vendors. So this whole thing is crazy. I mean, they just shut us down from Wisconsin. Illinois people can't go over the border and come back here, at least to Chicago. So, that's another kind of weird situation. Like, oh, okay, well then if I go to Wisconsin, if I go stay in a hotel in a suburb, I'm good. I don't have to quarantine. But if I come back into the city of Chicago, I got to quarantine. But yet if I fly in from a tournament from California and come in through O'Hare, which is Chicago, that doesn't count. I can go to a suburb. It doesn't matter. So the rules just don't seem to apply to everybody, and it's how you decide you want to apply them. So that's where I am right now, and that has a major effect. So if we're looking at August 15th, so we've got just over 2 weeks of hockey left that we can make happen.
Days.
So is that no high school, and are we done for the year?
This says, so he did not list every sport. Pritzker noted that tennis, golf, and basketball would be lower risk, while baseball, While basketball, soccer, and volleyball fall under a medium risk, higher risk sports include things like football, hockey, and lacrosse. And then there's a whole bunch of levels. So level 1 is no contact practices and training only. Level 2 is intra-team scrimmages allowed with parental consent for minors, but no competitive play. And then it goes level 3 and level 4. Higher risk sports can currently play at level 1. So it looks like they maybe trainings practices. Only. You know, and Scott, I feel for you too. My uncle is an entertainer. He's a juggler, balloon artist, stilt walker, I don't know if I said unicyclist, but same thing has happened to him, Easter, he's usually the Easter bunny and stuff. 4th of July, he's Uncle Sam, and he's had to kind of shift.
And he's been doing it for a long time, and that's his living. And you're taking that man's livelihood away from him, and it's I get what's going on. I totally understand, but if you're going to close somebody's business, you need to compensate them. We still, all our bills are still coming in. Our advertising still do. AT&T bill comes in. All the other bills are coming in. The mortgages do. Yeah. I don't know where we're going to go with this. I mean, I don't want to get political because this is not a political show and I'm not a political person. But
let's not go there, Scotty.
Brett Staley just said, hey, Brett, how are you? He just said he emailed you the document, Brad. So you should have it from Brett right now. If you want to take a look at that. And guys, if you're just joining us, we want to welcome you to the show. I'm not always pissed off, but I am now. I'm an angry referee as we speak.
I graduated college and before 2020, like one of the worst years to join the workforce during the 2008 housing crash.
Yeah.
And when I was in grad school, I was trying to figure out what I could do, that would be
Mason,
flexible. And what's up?
I'd like to point out. So Mr. Brett sent me the thing, and your former college art school, its ultimate frisbee is on the high risk level in Illinois. I'm just letting you know.
Really? Wow.
Yep. It's above wrestling. But
nobody's tossed a bee in Grant Park today.
I just wanted to put that out there. Sorry, I'm looking at this, so I apologize. Keep going.
Worries. No, I was just saying, so when I got into reffing, I was looking for, I was really loved doing it, and then I loved it so much when I was in graduate school. I was like, hey, I could do this for walking around spending money.
Yeah.
And it was real flexible, but at the time, it was really competitive, super competitive. Even in Illinois, there was no weekends where people were making phone calls, where Zed or anybody was making phone calls trying to cover games. It was highly competitive because a lot of people were out of work and they were reffing, and it's scary with what's going on right now because it sounds like for the fall at least that might not even be an option for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's
as a fallback. So it's definitely, I really feel for you, and it's definitely a really scary
I appreciate situation. That, but there's other guys that are in the same boat. They're not on the air right now with us, but I know them, and my heart goes out to them because it's going to be tough, guys. It's going to be tough. And so, especially I got my leg broken just over a year ago, so I was out for 8 months as it was from hockey and 6 months from work, basically. So this is just a double whammy for me. So I'm going to smile, and life goes on, guys. So that's where we are. Getting back to the hockey now. So we're going to. I haven't seen the document you guys are looking at. So does this mean we are going to be shut down as of August 15th? And what will this mean for USA Hockey? Now we have to register for the season. Our credentials are good through November, with the exception of this year. For any of you guys that are listening and haven't been following us weekly on this, let's run down the seminar steps. But one of the things that's new this year, and it has to be done by September 1st, guys, even if your credentials are good until the end of November, you still have to register with USA Hockey because you are going to need to get a new screening. We are on a new screening that takes place every 2 years. There's a $30 cost to this, and just be forewarned, it's not walk in somewhere and get it done. It takes mine, I put it in on a Friday. I had it back by Wednesday. So let's just say it takes a week to get done, guys. So, plan accordingly. If because we don't know how long this is going to last. This could all be over by November 4th. November 4th, we all get our saline shot and we move on, okay? So we just don't know. But the reality of it is, that has to get done, guys. So, we're still going to register.
So the new screening process, I just want to point out, that came down from all the cases up in Michigan and through USA national programs.
Yep.
And it's not a local decision.
I know that.
Decision.
Yes, I'm aware of it.
I'm making sure everybody knows.
Yeah.
It's a federal decision, and this came down from Congress.
Yep.
And we have to get it done. Like you said, Scott, it could be November 4th, and we get the
Let's hope.
the booster.
Let's hope you get the saline.
November 5th, they're going to need referees.
Yeah.
And I think the best thing is to be prepared. And if you can be ready, because I think not as many people are going to be ready this year as they normally are. You're probably going to get more games.
I'm going to put Eric Cowsill on the spot because he is watching right now, I believe, Eric, as referee in chief. So I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I'm assuming that will we still have seminars? And I'm sure you may not be able to answer that right now with what's just come across, but I'm guessing, we still are going to prepare guys and do what we need to do.
We want them now.
What's that?
We have a scheduled
now, Eric.
We have a scheduled seminar meeting tomorrow. Normally it's today, but it's tomorrow at 6:00. I'll be on that. We can talk about it more next week. For Illinois and USA Hockey, everybody's pushing forward. Missouri is as well. Most of the Central District is, and then all the other states. The idea is to get us trained, get us done, and once hockey comes back, if you're one of the 18 people or 55 people, guess what? You're going to be working a lot of games.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going with. I'm one of the few people that have registered, done their modules and their online tests.
Okay, so Eric I'm sorry to interrupt you, Brad, but Eric just responded. He says, yes, we are moving forward with planned seminars. So, guys, you have it right there from our referee-in-chief, Eric Cowsill. We are going to move forward. So if you have not registered for USA Hockey yet, please do so. The seminars for this year for IHOA are on the USA Hockey page. That is different than the way it has been in years past. You're going to download your open book test based on the level that you are submitting for. And if you want to go level 4 this year, there is no skating test. So you would be responsible for taking what will be the version of the closed book test. So we will have an online seminar with IHOA, and then you will be given a USA Hockey test, probably similar to what you're used to doing with the open book test, guys. The only difference is it's going to be a 3-hour timed limit. So
one sitting.
Yeah, one sitting, 3 hours. So this is where we are with hockey right now. I mean, it doesn't get any more current than what we're telling you at the moment, as far as I know. So guys,
subject to change.
Yeah, and let's hope changes for the positive here. So what we know now is August 15th is our last day of hockey as it currently exists.
According to this
whatever
NBC
Mason's
Chicago
got
story.
than what I got.
I'm reading a link from NBC Chicago.
Okay.
I would just say everything's fluid. Day by day, I think everything's going. Again, let's.
All right. Eric just chimed in. I'll tell you what, Eric, I think you have my cell number, don't you? Just give me a yes or no if you have my cell number.
You haven't called me.
No, because I can patch him in here.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
I'm gonna try to bring him in here. So give me a second. Yeah, we're gonna. Guys, we are technology.
We're running over.
We're high tech. We may go over a few minutes, but this is like breaking news. Okay, we should have a banner up there that says breaking news because we are breaking news right now. So Zednik just sent me another message. I know I suck as a ref. Yes, That is confirmed, Dave. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Eric Cowsill says yes. I don't know if he says yes, Dave Zednick sucks as a referee, or if he says yes, I'll call you. I have your cell number. I would assume, as the referee in chief,
more pens given out in a game than a game that Dave worked, and it was fantastic. Yeah. It was like going to charm and beauty school. It's like, we're going to learn proper manners today, Dave Zednick style, and then it was just twos and tens all day.
I'm probably on Cowsill's speed dial for getting in trouble or something like that, you know. So, Eric, call me up. Go ahead and dial me up when you're ready, and we're going to try to put you on. And, guys, we'll get the latest and the greatest from our referee-in-chief. He said full instructions and dates are posted on the ihoa.com site now, guys. So don't leave us. You can go there at any time. And, again, if you're just joining us, welcome to the show. Please subscribe to us. Hit the subscribe button. That's all we ask. Here's Mr. Cowsill now.
Oh, there you go. I was going to say, while you're patching him
Eric, can you hear me?
That screening's really important. Just make sure you get it done, because it does take time to turn around.
Go ahead and all right, if you could turn your computer volume down, Eric, if you can hear me.
Can you go look at IHOA?
And go ahead and just say hello. Let's see if we got you.
Because you can screen share. And I know you have
give us 1 second, guys. Hang on. Eric, can you hear us?
I can hear you, Scott.
Okay.
I can hear him.
Okay, cool. So welcome to the show, guys. We have our referee-in-chief for Ihoa and for Illinois, Mr. Eric Cowsill, has joined us. So, Eric, welcome to the show. Under these circumstances, it's not the ideal situation, but we've got him on the phone. And, you know, guys, if you have questions, if you want to type your question into the chat box, please put a Q in front of it so that we know it's a question, and we will try to get some of those answered, because I guess we're going to do some Q&A right now. We've got a few people. Let's see. They're still talking about Brad's glasses. I wonder if we could do small area games with no contact, with no off officials game. I don't know if it's officially, he says offices games. Oh boy, that's from Rachel. I prefer to play games in the office. Okay. All right. Well, that won't help us. Eric, give us the latest from what you know from USA Hockey. You may be privy to some stuff that we don't know about at this point. So, you know, bring us up to date on what you can tell us and where we're going from here.
Yeah, we really don't have any new news from USA. We were waiting to see what IHSA did, and now, you know, the news from Pritzker just came out. So that doesn't look good, but in the meantime, you know, we're moving forward with planning and conducting seminars and, you know, trying to get people signed up, completed, and registered. So
I think the goal is to be ready, right, Eric?
We're looking to open local registration the first week of August, pending, you know, some testing on the website. So we'll see how that goes.
Okay, if you're just joining us, ladies and gentlemen, we have Eric Cowsill. He is the referee-in-chief for Ihoa here in Illinois. And, you know, we're just trying to get some updates. If you haven't heard already, I guess the governor has said that hockey ends basically August 15th is what we're understanding from the email or whatever we got. Competitively
it'll end. It just says no contact, practice, and trainings only.
So that means
it's
skills.
Like my boys' lacrosse season.
Skills.
Mason, can you stop sharing your screen?
Sure.
I mean, I know you got there for us, so they're up. Thank you, Mr. Cowsill, for letting us know.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add to the conversation, Eric, before you go, or if anybody has any questions for Eric, please type Q in front of your question so I can decipher it here amongst the other comments. Go ahead, Eric.
No, I was just going to say, you know, we loaded, you know, a full instructional page on IHOA.com yesterday. So, you know, there's a lot of info there. I know it's a lot to read, but read through it. And if you have any questions, you know, reach out to, you know, me, Dave Zednick, Brad, you know, somebody who's working on the seminar. So that's all I have,
Craig.
Scott. And,
okay. So all the games are still on up through August 15th. If you're scheduled, you're still working. Is that correct?
Tread lightly.
well, they'll be non-sanctioned games, so there's nothing USA hockey.
Right. Yes. Yeah. We don't have any U.S. By the way, guys, there are no USA hockey games scheduled as of right now.
Nope.
Okay. Did they have a date in mind of when they were looking to start with USA hockey, Eric? I mean, obviously it's not.
Not that I've heard.
Not okay. All right, great. All right, well, Eric, thank you so much. Appreciate your coming on, and continue to listen, and we hope to see you soon.
All right.
Thanks, we'll talk to you. All right, guys.
Thanks, Eric. I don't know if he can hear me though, Scott.
Yeah, he'll probably hear it on the feed afterwards. So there's a little delay, guys. We're probably about 10 seconds difference from what we're doing to the time you get over the internet or whatever through YouTube. So we recommend you watch through YouTube. I think the quality is a little bit better. We ask you to subscribe through YouTube and to hit the notification button. You can get us within Ref Room in the group on Facebook, and you can get us on Ref Room on my page. I've got a page that's Ref Room as well.
Correct.
So you guys can find us. We're easily accessible. We do this every Wednesday at noon. Our guest today, Mason Strom. Mason, anything you want to say before we kind of wrap things up besides wow.
Well, this is pretty crazy. My phone just started blowing up because my meeting has ended, and then the men's coach from Roosevelt wants to touch base. So with news and
tell Billy I say hi when you talk to him.
I will. I'll tell him you said hello. I saw Fabrini on Monday too. It was good to see him. I hadn't seen him in a while. Yeah, it seems IHSA, I just got something from the Metro League. Apparently IHSA is supposed to come out with a further ruling on fall sports
tonight.
Today at 2, they're meeting. So we should hear later today. I wanted to start this show by being all excited because we are 4.5 hours. We're 4 hours and 23 minutes from watching live Blackhawks hockey.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I was so jacked up that I was trying not to even think about it. I woke up at 6 o'clock this morning, and I was watching that Harry Carey, Mayor of Rush Street, hour-long piece that Marquis did, and it occurred to me that it was today, and I was like, oh man, this is so exciting. But then at the same time, it's so unknown for all of us, and the game that we really miss. There's just no substitute for being out on the ice, and just that feeling when you're the Zamboni door's shut and you jump out on the ice and you're on fresh ice and you're doing your hot lap and you're like, it's go time, baby.
Yeah.
And those are the things that are going to fill our dreams, and the yearning to get back on the ice as soon as possible. So hopefully, we just weather this storm and can get back to business, as soon as possible.
Yeah, my demeanor has changed since we started this show with the excitement. I am a little nervous about what we're looking at in the future here, guys. And so,
right now, Scott, the one thing I'll say is we're grasping at straws right now because we don't know all the details. We don't know what's going to happen. So let's try and still be optimistic.
We will.
You know me, I'm not the most optimistic person in the world. I'm a pretty big realist. But with this, I'm trying to be optimistic because we do love it. And no offense, I've been skating since I was 4. I think you guys have been skating almost as long. I honestly don't know any better.
Yeah. I
like the season's coming, and it's coming right around the corner, and I'm ready to get going.
Yeah.
And
I'm already going. I want to continue, okay?
Yeah, no, I hear you. So
I'm pumped because we're just finally going back to business in, this Saturday is the first event we were scheduled to do, not hockey, but just in general. We've been back on the ice for a few weeks, couldn't be better. Starting to take a few of those LBs off that we've all put on over the COVID situation. So it's, we're definitely, it's going to be interesting. We'll leave it at that. Guys, we do this every week. At Wednesday, we will have the latest to all the people that have been chiming in. And Eric, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being willing to call in and, let us know exactly what's going on. Mason, I appreciate your time. Thank you for all the updates. It's been very helpful.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Brad, yeah, our pleasure. We'd love to have you back again. Brad, thanks so much as always. We will do this again next Wednesday. In closing, any closing thoughts, guys, before we go?
Well, we didn't really get to the talking about coaches stuff. So I'm just going to leave you with this one thought.
Nice.
I was working districts a few years ago in Omaha, and it was the St. Louis Junior Blues against the Omaha Junior Lancers. I can't remember. I think it was Midget Majors. It was the last game of the tournament, and Omaha was, I think they had either already won it or this game would have been like for sure that they're going to nationals. And they were handedly beating St. Louis, and then the St. Louis coach was barking at my partner. It was a four-man. He was barking at my partner like all game, and my partner was a younger official and had just worked his first season of juniors, and the barking happens a little bit more at that level, and and I just wanted to kind of make sure that it was like this wasn't going to be acceptable, especially because if all those players see it, then they're going to move on thinking it's okay. So I ended up talking with the other coach, and he ended up getting ejected from the game. Not during that conversation, but later on in the game. The entire coaching staff, actually the midget minor coach, had to come from the other rink to finish coaching the game. And it was just kind of a meltdown game for that coach. And after the game, I'm writing up my report, and Uncle Bob's like over my shoulder waiting for this thing because there's a bunch to write up. I think we made it to our third score sheet, and I was just sitting there going like, what? Like, it was one of those head scratcher games where you get in the locker room, you're like, why am I doing this? And I thought about it, and I think I went back to the hotel and came back to the rink later on to just say hi to some friends that I hadn't seen all season, and somebody came up to me and told me that coach's dad had died like 3 days before the tournament started.
Wow.
So he was just on edge as is, and that's one thing that, especially during the COVID situation, just talking to people you can take this lesson into like talking to people on the street, is that you really never know like what's going on in someone's life. And, what I have found that I don't always do the best job translating like at the hockey rink, but what I found like just in life is, being cordial and, just treating somebody with a smile and a good attitude does tremendous things. Whether you are in line ordering food, or you're talking to customer service with your cable or your internet provider.
If it's not AT&T, I'll be courteous, but I'm sorry.
But yeah,
I have the same problem with Comcast.
Yeah.
Well, because of course, during this game, my initial reaction is, of course, he's frustrated that his team's losing. Like, I think it was like 5 rip at this point, and in my mind, I'm like, it's 5 rip. You guys are clearly outmatched. Why are you getting upset at my partner? Like, why are you upset with him? So I was like, you got to, I came over and I was like, please calm down. Like, there's nothing, and it hadn't yelled at me once. So I wasn't, it was just kind of confusing why he was picking my partner as the target. And it just seemed to be, just some way to transfer his frustration of his team, the mourning process that he was in. And then just kind of blew up. And because it kind of came out of nowhere when he blew up, and I just didn't really get why. And then when I found that information out later, it was kind of one of these, epiphany moments. So I know we didn't really get into like talking about communication with coaches, but just something to think about.
We definitely want to do that. I mean, that is such a big part of what we do, guys. And, the psychology behind how to deal with the coaches in certain situations, it's huge, and it's really going to help you if you understand how to do it. So that is something we will definitely have you back for. We got a little sidetracked today because of the news that broke today. If you just joined us, hockey
you got the time
looks...
next Wednesday, Mason?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, Scott. I mean, we're going to call him afterwards, so we might as well.
Yeah, I mean,
just ask him now. If you want to
I'm
come
totally
back
cool with that. If you want to come back
the
next...
psyche of coaching.
Yeah.
Next Wednesday would probably be the best day because my 2 Wednesdays from now, my high school contract officially starts. I am going to say I am a 21st century partner and dad. So I do have to clear it with the other half of my team.
Yeah,
but,
check with the captain. Check with your captain.
It was my request.
Send your captain over here.
I would be happy to come back.
Okay.
and talk about this further.
All right, and we will probably have more updates, guys, next week. So that is probably the lead for next week, is we will talk about what has transpired this week and the interpretations of what has transpired today. So
good throwback.
Yeah. So guys, thanks again for joining us, everybody. Once again, Wednesdays noon right here, YouTube and Facebook. On behalf of all of us, lunch in the ref room. Enjoy your sandwich and beer, guys, and we will talk to you next week. Mason, thanks for joining us. Brad, have a great week.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right.
You guys, too. Thanks, Mason.
Bye, guys.
All right. Bye-bye.